Hello and welcome. I am so happy to have Jen Moss here and Michael Ralph. We're going to be having a conversation about the article, Creating a Happier Workplace is Possible and Worth It.
Organizations that do struggle, like you said, again, a lack of resources or people are wanting to do incorporate this. Like what can organizations do to, because it always comes down to cost. Lack of resources or cost. And then that's what the major factor comes down to. So like if you don't want to invest money into it and you don't have the people to do it, what is left at that point? Like what can organizations to do to just get some simple wins?
The thing is I always talk about this, this idea or this perception that there's an investment or financial investment that has to go into incorporating, time to connect with each other. And that's a myth. And I think what we need to realize is, often managers or leaders have some sort of culture budget that they are able to kind of work with. And even if it's $100 or $500 or more, it's about making sure that people that that you're leading make the choices about what they want to do with that. When it comes to building culture, why are we as leaders assuming that we know best? People should have the agency or autonomy to say, if I had $100, I would do this because this would improve morale. Sometimes, and I wrote about this in the last book, it was $100 that went to fix a broken printer in a
Mm.
hospital for a bunch of nurses where their morale was really decreasing and they were kind of running down the hall and it was wasting time, and they had no they had no efficiencies, which was making it so that they were grumpier and more frustrated, and it created toxicity. It's about listening and understanding what are the core points that are keeping us from being able to have fun and laugh and have joy at work. When you
Mhm.
resolve that, then it becomes, okay, well, instead of maybe creating something that you think is the right thing to do, it's about asking people what they find fun. Sometimes it's just a weekly non-work related check-in that's 10 minutes. And I say this, just ask how they are, what lit them up that week, what stressed them out, and what can we do to make next week easier. It's, three questions. It should
Mm.
take 10 minutes. It can be a stand-up meeting where you're all like stretched and, up and sharing this. And then it's about actively listening as a leader to say, okay, that person has mentioned that they haven't slept every single time we have this meeting every week. They're talking about not sleeping. Well, maybe I can go into the EAP or into some sort of HR program that I know is supporting these kind of health habits or better sleep habits. And then I can be a conduit to that. I can share that with you. So just listening and making sure that we're creating a symbiotic relationship between us as leaders and the people that we're leading, and giving autonomy and choice can really change the dynamic of relationships and friendships. And also, the more time we have back makes it more likely that we can have time for recess, which we can't have if we're working 60, 70 hours a week and not realizing that it's a broken printer that could be
Mm.
adding those extra 5, 10 hours every single week on someone's already kind of exhausted state of being. And it's simpler than we think, and it's much less expensive than we think.